Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do a full face of Glossier. So I know Glossier is now at Sephora, which is kind of what sparked this whole makeup video. I actually picked all these products up from the Glossier website itself for two reasons. So Glossier has sets that you can buy that are discounted rather than Sephora. If you buy everything separately, it ends up being more expensive. There are also other like coupons that you can use at Glossier's website that will give you more money off, and also Sephora doesn't carry one of the products that I have in this video that I really wanted to try. So I bought everything off Glossier. I honestly think it's probably better if you buy off Glossier's website. If you are interested in Glossier, I would probably buy it off the website. Anyway, I have tried some products from Glossier in the past, but I've never had a full face. The products that I've tried in the past are the Halo Scope highlighter, which I think is slightly sticky, and there are definitely better alternatives out there. So I didn't pick that up this time, but like I've used it in the past. I know how I feel about it. If you're looking for a stick highlighter that kind of gives that same vibe, I would recommend the Flower Beauty Day Glow, which is not a stick highlighter, it's in a pot, but it's a cream highlighter that just gives a really pretty glow. Or the Merit highlighter if you want like a stick form. I also have tried the Boy Brow, the Cloud Paint, I've tried the Brow Flick as well, and the mascara. So those are the four products that I can fully remember using from Glossier, but the rest of these, oh, and Generation G, so that's 5 products. I didn't like Generation G, it's very drying. Anyway, most of these products are products that I have never tried before from Glossier, so this is pretty much like a rediscovery of Glossier for me. If you like this type of video, please like and subscribe if you aren't already. I have all the products on my face already, so you know, maybe like a little sneak peek to what you're getting. If you're new here, hi, my name is Vivian. I'm a robotics engineer with a love for all things beauty and makeup related, and I post 2 times a week on Mondays and Thursdays at 11 a.m. Eastern time. With that being said, let's just hop into it. So I have tried some products from Glossier before. Some of them I liked, some of them I didn't, but I've never really done like a full face of Glossier. I know a lot of people aren't a huge fan of Glossier anymore, and you know, I can kind of see why. Like there are a lot of newer brands out there that are also that minimalistic vibe. I'm a huge fan of this type of makeup, so I wanted to try a lot of this out anyway. This first product is the Glossier Future Dew. This is an oil serum hybrid, and this one I have not tried before, but it looks like a glowy primer type of product, so I feel like I would like it. It says apply 2 pumps all over the face as the last step in your skin routine. So I gave it a little shake. I'm not sure what the consistency is, so I'm gonna start pumping. You can see it is quite liquidy, and it's not as sparkly shiny like I was expecting. I was kind of expecting more of a Charlotte Tilbury type. It is a little bit tacky, which is nice. Definitely feel like it gave me a relatively good glow. I'm not sure I love the texture of it. I'm sure I will continue using this and see how I feel about it, but it doesn't look like it's super emphasizing pores. Not my favorite texture though, so I don't think I would love this like every day. Maybe if I'm feeling super dry and I feel like I need a little bit something like extra, I would reach for this. I do like the bottle though. It's this like kind of chromy glass bottle. We'll see how this wears underneath other foundations as well, because it does have a little bit of tackiness to it. I don't think that I'm gonna need that for this specific skin tint, but we'll see. I'm just gonna put a little bit of my Maybelline Master Prime just because it's in my project pan. This next product is the Glossier Perfecting Skin Tint. I have mine in the shade G9. I know a lot of people compare this to the MAC Face and Body, but they typically, from what I've seen, like the MAC Face and Body more because you can get a little bit more coverage out of that. I honestly didn't use the MAC Face and Body that much before I decluttered it because the shade that I had was just not the correct shade. You can see it is extremely light. The texture is very watery and slippy as well. And I know this is not everyone's cup of tea. I know a lot of people prefer a little bit more coverage, and I can at times, but I also enjoy just having more of an even skin tone. So I don't think like I would hate this product or hate kind of the vibe of this product. I honestly think you really just have to go in knowing what to expect. I know it's a super, super lightweight, super sheer skin tint. Honestly, I think I would like this. It provides just a little bit of evenness to my skin, but still sheer enough that, you know, I don't have to worry about it not matching me. I like swatched this on the back of my hand the other day, and G9 looks like it'd be a tad bit warm, but since it is so sheer, you can barely tell. I don't think this is a product that you can build up, unfortunately. So if you do want more coverage, I definitely would not go for this, but I do like this. It is nice and dewy. I feel like my skin looks really plump, but again, like I know it's not everyone's cup of tea. I wanted to try out a lot of the products, especially because it is at Sephora now. Honestly, I think it looks nice. I think my skin looks nice and plump and hydrated. I definitely think I need to powder just because I can get pretty oily throughout the day. It like evened out some of the redness on my skin. Obviously didn't cover anything major, but it just looks slightly more perfected. I think I would like this for the day-to-day, especially in the summer if I'm like on a vacation or something and just want something to make me feel a little bit more put together, not be too much effort, because you can blend this in with your fingers. I honestly think that's probably the best way. I haven't tried it with a sponge or a brush yet, but I'm sure a sponge would just kind of soak everything up. But I do want to try it with a brush eventually. I feel like products like these are probably best to be applied with your fingers. So this next product is the Stretch Concealer. I also have mine in the shade G9. This feels very, very emollient. It feels like some of the cream blushes I have. It honestly kind of feels like the Milani Cheek Kiss blush. This has more coverage for sure. I feel like you can already see the difference between this eye and this eye. I think the shade is relatively warm, but I also don't think that this type of concealer is what I would reach for if I wanted like a full coverage concealer anyway. I do think it feels nice though. I feel like it would be good if you had really dry under eyes, because I feel like it does kind of add some hydration there. I'm putting a little bit on my spots. I have also seen some videos of people using the concealer all over as a foundation, which I think might be a better option if you do want more of that coverage. Even if you use the concealer all over, do not expect anything near full coverage. I think this just does a really nice job of making it less noticeable. Since these are lightweight products and more of the hydrating consistency, if you're super oily, I don't think these products would be ideal for you. So I zoomed you in really close so you guys can maybe see a little bit better. I do have some dry spots, so like here you can kind of tell I have some dry spots. I don't think they're being emphasized, which can happen with a lot of other concealers that I've tried, but I think it looks relatively nice. Again, it's not covering up all of my acne. Obviously you can still see redness coming through, you can still see texture, but I think this is a really pretty like natural everyday base. I like how glowy my skin looks right now, but it doesn't feel like extremely glowy. It doesn't feel like it's gonna slip off my face in like 3 seconds. I honestly think I like it so far. I feel like my skin looks very much like skin, and like it doesn't really look like I put anything on. The skin tint is really just a product if you want to even out your skin tone. I know my forehead is typically darker than the rest of my face because, you know, that's where the sun hits, so that's where I get the most tan. And I think this did do a good job of like evening that out and just making it look more uniform. So I didn't pick up the bronzer because I know a lot of people actually did not like the bronzer, and I didn't really want to spend money on it knowing that I probably wasn't gonna like it. So I'm gonna go in with a product that I think is relatively similar in terms of finish. This is the Tower 28 Bronzino in the shade West Coast. The Glossier bronzer is kind of metallic-y, more of a luminous bronzer, and I think this is pretty similar to that. Gonna go in with this. I'm gonna take it on a brush. This is just a BH Cosmetics number 4 brush. So this next product is the Glossier Cloud Paint. I have mine in the shade Storm. This is a formula that I've tried before. I had Dusk previously, which is like their more neutral color. It didn't really show up on my skin tone and I didn't love it. I ended up decluttering that shade because I didn't love the way it looked. So I'm trying it again in a different shade. Again, this is the shade Storm, which is more of a berryer shade. Something that I have been reaching more for these days. I feel like the cloud paints are pretty much Glossier's like staple product. I feel like everyone who has used Glossier before like has had a cloud paint at one point. I like that. I think it's more red than I was expecting. So I remember when I had that, I would apply it with a sponge. Today I'm just going in with my finger because I've pretty much been doing this entire makeup look with the finger. I think this color looks really nice on my skin. It is definitely giving kind of like sunburn vibes. Relatively easy to blend out. It's kind of dried down on my palm though, which is what I'm picking up from. So I think I need to get a little bit more. This is still spreading though, which is nice. I quite like that color. I think it's a very me color where it is kind of like a darker terracotta reddish tone, which if you've been here for any amount of time, like those are the tones that I usually go for. It just blends out so easily. I know Glossier's Cloud Paint was pretty much like the first cream blushes that a lot of people were really getting into. I have so many cream blushes now that I think this has a place in my collection because I did really like the way that applied and I do really like the way it looks. But I don't necessarily think you need it. You know, I have a lot of blushes that are kind of this type of color. I do think it's pretty though. It's like still sheer enough that you can see the glow underneath. It blended out really easily with my fingers. I pretty much didn't have to work at all. I just kept patting it out. So something I had a very long time ago, but I know they reformulated is the Glossier balm.com. They reformulated it, they changed the packaging so it has an actual lip applicator now, and I know a lot of people had trouble with the sides of it like breaking and exploding, so they changed the tubing as well. I used to have like 3 of these. I had mango, coconut, and the original one. I remember them not being my absolute favorite. It was nice, but I've since found better lip balms that are more my preference. I talk about the Summer Fridays lip butter balm all the time, but that's my absolute favorite, and the Glossier ones have kind of fallen to the back in terms of usage. So I'm excited to try this again. I picked this up in the birthday shade because it is clear with like a little bit of shimmer. It does smell really good. It smells exactly like Cake Pops. The applicator was nice. It spread out really evenly. The shimmer in here is nice, but it feels the exact same as the old ones in my opinion, and I just prefer more of a thicker lip balm for the everyday. My lips are perpetually dry, so I usually just prefer something a little bit heavier on my lips. I do think it's pretty, like it has a nice sheen to it as well. Did it replace my Summer Fridays lip butter balms? No. Obviously, like I need to let this sit a little bit and see how it actually hydrates my lips, but for now, I don't know that I would repurchase. I do like the shine though. I think the glitter in here also is subtle enough where I can throw this on and not have to worry about it being like a gloopy mess. I think the packaging is cute. I like that they redid the packaging. So this next product is the reason why I bought off of Glossier's website instead of Sephora. This is the Glossier Wowder, which I've never tried before. It is a powder. It has a little sifter here. From touching the powder, it feels so finely milled. Barely feel it at all, which I think is going to be a good sign. I'm going to start off with this really small brush, and I'm just going to tap like right in there. Tap off the excess and go in with this underneath my eyes. I also want to say so far the concealer doesn't seem to be sitting in my like fine lines like some other concealers do. Like I don't notice it as much as I have with other concealers. I'm just gonna pat it out just to make sure, and then it didn't add like darkness to my under eyes, which I also really appreciate. I'm gonna try putting a little bit more on this fluffier brush and kind of just going over my entire face with it. It feels more set for sure. It's not too mattifying, but it does feel set down. I think that looks really good on my pores. I don't think it looks cakey or anything. And I think a huge part of that is because of how lightweight the powder is. It honestly feels like nothing. It's so finely milled. I think I really like that powder so far. Let's put some on my forehead. I think that looks really good. I really like the way that looks and feels. This is gonna be a hot take. I think I might like this more than my Kosas powder. I feel like my skin just looks really flawless without like being heavy. The Kosas powder is something that I really enjoy, but I think I like this a little bit more. My face feels set. It looks really lightweight underneath my eyes and my pores. It also doesn't look like super heavy in between my eyebrows, which is probably the most problematic area on my face. So I have this powder puff, so I'm gonna grab a little bit on this powder puff and I'm just gonna press this right into the center of my face where my pores are like the worst. Can you see how good my pores look? Like specifically the ones right here. I feel like that looks insane. I feel like that looks way better than the Kosas. I might have found a new favorite powder. I just really like the way that that looks. It is super lightweight. I thoroughly enjoy that. Since it is super lightweight though, I'm not sure how this will hold up when I get oilier throughout the day, so we'll definitely have to wait and see. But on first application, I think that looks really good. I will say I think the blush has faded a little bit. I'm not sure if it faded because I put powder on top or maybe I just didn't put enough. So this next product is also something that I've tried before. This is the Glossier Boy Brow. I have mine in the shade Black. The spoolie is nice and small. I believe it has fibers in it. This was like the first product I ever bought to do my brows when I was in college, so it's kind of nostalgic for me, but I also think that I have found better products, or maybe I'm misremembering how I felt about this because this does feel slightly different than how I remember it. I remember it being more of a wet formula because I do think that looks really nice. I think I need to fill in a little bit, but that's just because my brows are really sparse. I think that looks really nice though. I'm liking the soft hold that it has. I wish it had a little bit more volume for my brow hairs themselves. I definitely don't think it beats my like Kosas Airbrow. So I used to have the Brow Flick, but I did not purchase that again because I'm not a huge brow pen galley, and I honestly didn't want to buy it because I know that I'm not going to use it very often. Instead, I do have the Milani Weekend Brow, which is also just another brow pen. It has a really thin tip, and I'm just going to fill in some sparse areas. I think I need to try that Boy Brow more because I truly don't remember it being this dark. I'm just gonna go in with a little bit of pencil and just fill in like the really sparse areas. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna go in with is this. This is the Glossier #1 pencil. I have never tried this. This color is called Rococo. It is a slightly metallic dark purple shade. I figured this would be really pretty for the fun pop of color liner. So by rubbing it, it does look like it is fading a little bit, which is not the best sign. It's obviously still there, but that pigment has definitely faded onto my finger. Maybe I need to let it dry down a little bit more. I am just going to pretty much go on my lash line with this. I'm wondering if this is supposed to be more of a waterline liner instead of like on the lid liner, because going in with a brush pretty much made it rub away again. I tried to do just like a really small wing, but that pretty much faded. I think the color is pretty. You do have to go over it a couple times to get a fuller opacity. Let's see how this works as like a waterline liner. So it did apply to my waterline nicely. The color is not as deep on my waterline as it is on my lid. I feel like that's kind of standard for cream eyeliners like this. I do think it looks slightly patchy. It's not my favorite. I don't love this. I don't love it. It's kind of hard to be precise with it, and it drags a little bit on my eyelid. Since it is a cream liner and you can't really use a brush to like smoke it out, it is quite thick. That very well could be like user error, but it is way thicker than I would typically want. And I think the color is pretty. It's like a really deep kind of eggplant shade. I don't love it. It's not as creamy as I was hoping it would be. The pigment doesn't last. It applied to my waterline okay, but it did transfer down. I'm just gonna say that product is pass. Okay, so Glossier does have a mascara. I've tried it before. I don't love it. It's a tubing mascara, but it's very, very natural. I know that's Glossier's vibe, so that's fine. But the wand itself was very rubbery and pokey, and it did not feel good. So I am gonna go in with a different mascara. Mascara is on. I touched up my brows and I think they look worse. So I'm not sure how I feel about the boy brow. I don't know if it's the mixture. I'll have to try that again. I added more blush just because I really like blush. I'm a very blushy person. I really like the color of this blush on me. I think it is so pretty. And the last product here I have is the Glossier Ultra Lip. So I've had the Gen Z lip before. I didn't love it. It was just too mattifying. My lips were always too dry and it would like catch on the dryness of my lips. This one is supposed to be like a shinier version. This is in the shade Cachet. Swatching that on my hand, I think I'm really gonna like that color. Kind of reminds me of Merit L'Avenue, like a slightly more brown version of Merit L'Avenue. I do like the level of pigment this has. It's more pigmented than I was expecting. I like how shiny it is. I don't necessarily like this lip shade with this blush. I think this is a little bit too dark, although I do kind of love these like vampire lip looks. It is kind of catching on some of the dry parts of my lips. It feels comfy. It feels slightly thicker. I think though if I were to get more of a sheer tinted lip look, I think I'd rather pick up either one of my Merit Shade Slicks or like the Merit Signature Lip lipsticks. I do think it's pretty. I do like the shine that this has. I don't think it's anything revolutionary though. I would need a mirror to apply this, so like it can get a little bit messy around the edges of my lips. I don't think it looks bad though. I'm not blown away by it like I thought I would be. Like you can see specifically right here, I have like a dry spot. It catches on that and I'm not a huge fan of that. Zoom you guys in so you can see everything again up close. So I love the color of this blush. I think it's really pretty. I think the eyeliner on this eye turned out better, but I still feel like it's a little bit patchy. You can also see that it did transfer down a little bit. I don't know why I'm showing you my eye like that. I'm sorry if that's gross. This eye got a little bit chunky, but I think I was able to save it a little bit. Again, it did transfer down. This wing is definitely longer than this wing. That's fine. The brows are very, very weird. I don't like the way my brows look right now. It just doesn't look right. It looks like really chunky, especially up close. Like on camera, it looks way chunkier. The skin tint, you know, obviously it's not gonna cover everything. It barely covers anything. but I do like that just like evenness of my skin tone. The concealer honestly looks really nice. I'm really liking the way that looks underneath my eyes. You can see I have quite a few like fine lines right here, but I don't think it looks bad. I don't think the concealer has like sunken into it. I can already start to feel like some of my oil seeping through, which isn't a great sign. I feel like this is probably going to rub off very soon. I'm not sure how the powder will last in that. Overall, I think I was just expecting more, not in terms of coverage. I was just expecting to kind of be like blown away by the blush, by the powder, by the lips. Some of that could be like shade choices. Do I need a full face of Glossier? Probably not. This oil is definitely heavier than I thought it would be. I don't really know how to describe it because when you pump it out, it's very thin, but when you rub it onto your face, it just feels slightly thicker and not as like gel-like as I was expecting. I do like the glow that it gave. I think it's a really pretty like all over glow without having any shimmer in it at all. So if that's kind of what you're looking for, I think you might like this. I think I need to try it more, but I don't hate this. I don't think it's like an instant holy grail yet either though. The skin tint, I do think I would reach for this on, like I said, those beach days, those like no makeup days where I just want a little bit of evenness without having any coverage. I think I like this. I think that the shades are flexible enough that G9 works pretty well for me. The concealer, again, it's way more emollient than any other concealer I've had. It didn't like immediately sink into my fine lines, which is a positive sign. With the formula, this emollient, I kind of would expect that very quickly and it just didn't happen. So I have high hopes for this concealer. I feel like it did rub away on my acne itself, so I think this might be purely an under eye concealer. My skin looks nice. It looks nice and hydrated. It doesn't look super cakey, which I really appreciate. I think my favorite product in this lineup was the Wowder. I'm very sad it's not on Sephora. I'm not sure why. I think the powder looks really good on my skin. It really does not look cakey at all. I think it feels even smoother than my Kosas Cloud Set. The Boy Brow, I'm not sure if I just like applied it really weirdly today. Maybe I had stuff already in my brows. Didn't love it. I feel like my brows look really weird, and honestly it might be because of me using the brow pen, because every time I use a brow pen it never looks good on me. So I'll definitely try this again without anything else. I think this could be good for like my no makeup days, but it definitely didn't like overpower my Kosas Tinted Air Brow. The eyeliner, huge pass, heavy pass. No thank you. I don't think I need this. I don't think I'll reach for it very often. I like the color of this a lot. I think it's really pretty. It's a really deep purple, like eggplant shade with a little bit of shimmer in it. I probably really won't reach for this. I think it's really hard to work with. I think you have to go over it a few times to get the pigment that I want. It doesn't last in your waterline. It transferred down pretty quickly. You can't really smudge it, which is such a shame though, because this feels like a product that I would use as like a smudgy like little winged liner moment. I would honestly just pass on this. I don't think you need it in your life. The Ultra Lip, the more that I have it on, the more I like the color on me. It feels pretty comfy. It feels like slightly tacky, but I like this hint that it has. I don't think it's like super opaque, but not super sheer either, which is what I was kind of anticipating. I like it. Is it my favorite like sheer lipstick? No, I very much prefer the Merit Signature Lips if I want like a sheer lip. I think it's pretty though. I just think it catches on my dry lips. The birthdaybalm.com, I obviously have to see how well it like hydrates my lips, but I don't think it's something that I necessarily need in my collection. I much prefer the Summer Fridays lip butter balms because I do prefer a thicker lip balm. This is really thin on your lips, so if that's your vibe, I think you might like this. It honestly kind of reminds me of just like plain old Aquaphor. I do like the like sparkly shiny vibe that this gave me. It is really comfortable. I like the way it smells. So is it my favorite? No. Am I gonna continue using it? Yeah, probably. The most exciting part of this product is that they repackaged it and put in a lip applicator instead of the old like paint tube applicator that they had. And the last thing here is the blush. I feel like cloud paints are pretty much a cult classic. I know a lot of people don't talk about it anymore, but I do really like this color on me. I think it is stunning on my skin. Again, this is the shade Storm. I think I like the color more than anything else though, so like I don't think the formula is super revolutionary. I think it's nice. I think I'll enjoy using it. Do I have other blushes that I enjoy more than this? Yes. Am I going to enjoy this anyways? Also yes. So this is pretty much like a take it or leave it product for me, but who knows, I might change my mind the more I use it because I do really like this color on me. And that is pretty much it. These two products, the Wowder and the blush, are probably my favorite from everything I tried today. I honestly do like the skin tint and concealer, which I wasn't super expecting to, but I think my skin looks really nice and even, and I think my under eyes look really good. Do I necessarily think everyone needs to go buy Glossier now that it's at Sephora? No. Not really. Most of these products are products that I can see myself using, but I think that there are a lot of brands that are very similar to Glossier that do everything just a tiny bit better. So I just don't think that it's necessarily worth it for the average consumer, and I feel like a lot of people already have these types of products, these formulas. I feel like pretty much everything that Glossier has ever done, there is probably a better alternative or a more affordable alternative that you can get a very similar look with. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys are new here, please like and subscribe if you aren't already. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in my next one. Bye!